Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Friday, June 23rd, 2017.
Commissioner Rivas, James, Davis, and Jacinto are present. President James, we do have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, with Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Shram Kargani, LA Sanitation.
Good morning, Patricia Chang, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Kimberly Fitzpatrick, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Sergio Samayoa, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Lori Rittenberg, City Attorney.
Dr. Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment. We have no commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We also did not receive any speaker cards for today's agenda.
Let's try this. Well, then we'll close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. We will start with a 31-year service retirement award for Tom Carballo from the Bureau of Street Services and Mr. Keith Mose. While we're celebrating this, please tell me that on Monday we're not going to have another significant street services retirement because we had one on Wednesday.
I'll check my list here. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning.
Fellow Commissioners, City Attorney. I'm Keith Mose, and today we are here to honor and say farewell to Tom Carabello, as you mentioned, with 31 years with our city family and the Bureau of Street Services. Tom is a man who epitomizes honor, sincerity, and responsiveness, and we thank you for that. And spending this much time in one organization shows your commitment and dedication to the city of Los Angeles and your dedication to public service. Tom is so dedicated that he's going to return to us as a reserve officer. And I'd like to tell his family who are here today, thank you. Thank you for sharing him with us and everything like that. And hopefully Tom won't take you to the store and point out all the violations and things like that within the right-of-way. Hopefully he can kind of tone that down a little bit for you, because trust me, I do the same thing. But on behalf of the City of Los Angeles, Board of Public Works, the city family, and Bureau of Street Services, thank you for your dedication to duty, honor, and service. It was a pleasure to work with you, to know you, and to basically, you helped me out through my career, whether you realize it or not. You help everyone as far as the benefits that you bring with your institutional knowledge of 31 years. That's a benefit, and we hate to lose that much institutional knowledge. You know, it hurts us, but at the same time, we grow and we learn from it. So, Tom, as I mentioned, you brought your family. Again, I'm thanking them as well as you. And I'm going to close the remarks. And today, we actually brought you a certificate from the Board of Public Works. I'd like to give you on behalf of the board. And thank you, sir. Thank you. I know we have a few people that want to say a few remarks. We won't make this a roast, but we'll say a few nice things. Sounds good.
Well, looks like we're going to start with Chief Harris. Are we? Gary? Go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioner and Bureau Representatives, Mr. City Attorney. Gary Harris, Bureau of Street Services. And I'm here to talk about Tom Carabello and a distinguished 31-year career with the city. But it didn't start there. Back in 1979, Tom began his working career serving in the U.S. Marine Corps, where he had a very successful career there for 4 years. And then he came out and joined the city in 1985. He began as a security officer in the Recreation and Parks Department. At that time, the zoo was a part of that department, and that was his first assignment. He moved on when the department became the zoo department and promoted to lieutenant in 1995 there. And he gained a lot of experience. He kept going, kept promoting. He became the captain, which was the second highest position that exists in that classification at the zoo. We were fortunate enough in 2001 to convince Tom to give up the career he had there, because if he would have stayed there, he would also become the chief. He was next in line to get that position, but we told him there was a brighter future for him here in the family of Public Works, and we convinced him to join our small team in the Investigation Enforcement Division. And so he became a street services investigator. 2 years later, he became a lieutenant with our division, and of course he rose to the rank of Chief Street Services Investigator 1 in our division. He was among the first to do many things in our division as the division has changed over the years. When Tom joined in 2001, it was the Street Use Inspection Division, totally different operation than we have now. Tom was one of the first people to go to police training to get peace officer status. He was one of the first investigators to go out and actually make arrests. Prior to that time, the investigators didn't make arrests. Tom was one of the pioneers of going out and doing these tasks as a peace officer in this job. He paved the way for what we're doing now. He trained many of our new employees. He started programs. When we started the NewsRec program, when it was a brand new program, Tom set up the entire program, even creating the process to geocode every NewsRec in the city of Los Angeles and get it into the public way reservation system, which was a very labor-intensive job. But Tom did that, and he created the entire process, worked with the vendors, worked with BOE, and very successfully set that program up. He helped run our illegal dumping task force that we had in the mid-2000s, very successfully resulted in over 300 arrests and prosecutions for illegal dumpers. He's been instrumental in starting a number of programs with our division. He's been a key leader, not only for the division, for the Bureau, for the city. The dedication and service he's shown is really the epitome of what public service is about and public safety. Tom will not be replaced, but we wish him the best as he moves on into this next stage of life and has new challenges and new goals. But we're really going to miss you here in the Bureau, Tom, and just want to say personally for me, working closely with you, thank you for everything you've done for the Bureau. This time, Charlie Menz, the Executive Director of the Los Angeles Professional Managers Association, would like to say a few words.
Mr. Mims, good morning, sir.
Good morning, President James. Just briefly, I'd like to give a little historical perspective here, since I think I'm the oldest guy around. But when I was first active in public works, when everybody thought of it, they thought of street use inspection as sort of a backwater division in the Bureau of Street Maintenance at that time. And I just wanted to come here today and share with you all that the team of Gary and Tom, in the time they've been here, have really revolutionized that whole division. They professionalized it. They've got people post-training. They're doing a lot of the same work, but they're doing it more broadly and more deeply than it was done before. And that doesn't happen without the kind of leadership that these folks have demonstrated. So I just wanted to be here and congratulate Tom on his retirement and share with you the tremendous work they've done to help not only their bureau and the department out, but the whole city out. So thank you very much, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. Keith, anybody else? Then, well, before we go to Tom, we'll go to Commissioner Davis, if we could.
Thank you, Mr. President. And on behalf of the Board of Public Works, I'd like to say to Tom Caraballo, the work that he has done over 31 years is exemplary, not only as a public servant for those of us who serve in the public. It is quite a sacrifice. But additionally, I think that I speak perhaps for many people the world over who have the greatest respect for those men and women who put their lives on the line to further serve in public safety. And I've noticed that he has had a public safety career for quite a long time. And again, when individuals do that, not only are they just simply serving the public, but they really are not just putting their body, their mind on the line, but they're putting their body on the line as well. And I think that when you look at your service, you can look to the fact that you have served in Los Angeles, one of the greatest cities in the country, but the leadership that you have provided for us to help make sure that we maintain the systems of our city is greatly appreciated, the work that you have done. And so I look to what you have done with the great honor, double honor, for one hand being on public service and two being in law enforcement. And so we wish you well, and we know that cream rises to the top. And you have done that in everything that you have done, and so we commend you, and congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Rivas.
Tom, thank you so much for your service and for bringing the expertise that you learned from your previous positions in other city departments. I think Public Works was lucky to have you and that experience to be able to set up this area for the department. And thank you to your family, and welcome, and I'm glad you're here to join us to celebrate your service. So I hope you enjoy your retirement and come back and visit us. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. And Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. I want to thank Keith and Gary for both the context and the litany of things that you have done, Mr. Carballo. Congratulations, sir. Thank you for your 31 years of service to our city. I also want to welcome the Carballo family. Are you guys are you proud? Are you not proud? Is that your granddaughter, sir?
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent. Testimony to a person's life, a man's life, is his family. So it's so great to see all of you witness the respect and the service that you have both given and earned in this city. And the streets are where it plays out our lives as Angelinos. And to hear and to learn and to know of all the things that you put into play is so affirming to what we need to do to take care of the public right away. And it's good to know that you're going to be a reserve officer, because you're going to continue to mentor, because you can't stay away from the things that you've done for your entire life in terms of passing on that knowledge, Keith. So we're going to keep Tom close and hope to see you around and to celebrate you. But the name Tom Carballo will exist in the annals of the Bureau of Street Services for generations to come. So to you, sir, I say mabuhay. May you live long and thrive.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. So, Tom, let me first of all just say congratulations and best wishes to you for this next chapter in life, to have it a long, wonderful, healthy retirement to you and your family. And thank you so much for agreeing to stay on with us as a reserve officer. The reserve officer program at every level is really critical to the continuing success of the city. And I really appreciate that after, really on behalf of the board, after retirement. Now that I've said all of that, let me be a little selfish for just a moment. And the only reason that the selfishness comes out is because of the impact, quite honestly, that a retirement like yours has on the city and on the Department of Public Works. And the reason that it has such a significant impact is because you've been just a stellar city servant. These retirements are tough. And when I said at my opening up with Mr. Mose, I mean, you guys come at me with another one? I mean, we had Lorenzen on Wednesday and Tom today. You know, these shoes are hard to fill. You know, Tom, you're one of the guys, you know this, Gary knows this, the executive management at the Bureau of Street Services knows this. You're a go-to guy for us. And when you're a go-to guy for us, you're a go-to guy for the constituents in the city. And, you know, I have used your expertise in ways I'm not even sure I've ever communicated directly to you. But I'm going to give you one example. When we have had success, particularly since Mayor Garcetti has been in office as mayor, of bringing very high-profile events to the city of Los Angeles that bring jobs to our city and increase tourism in our city and increase economic activity in our city. And one of the reasons that we've had success doing that is we have what they call a clean zone ordinance in place in the city of Los Angeles, that our Bureau of Street Services has is able to to enforce related to special events. And you all are the, the power behind that. And that separates, it's one of many things, it separates us from other cities that make our city attractive. And the work that you all have done for the city around special events and so many things that BSS, the BSS Investigative and Enforcement Division has been a part of are really important to the Bureau of Street Services being a complete bureau. And with you exiting, I know, I can tell from your colleagues here that we have a well-trained force in your division. I want there to be more of them, and it takes time in our city process for there to be. But at least with you retiring, we're not going to completely lose your institutional knowledge because you're going to be a reserve officer for us. And that's really important for us. So thank you very much for your willingness to do that. And just personally, thank you for always being, part of sometimes a small team and getting the work done that we needed to get done. But I could always depend on you. And something else that we're going to miss, Tom. You've been able to sit here at board with us a lot of times, and you may have heard me say this to other people when they retire. But you're in this class. The people that their presence and their work brings a level of confidence with them, it's really comforting for those of us that sit as political appointments connected to a specific administration. And that's important for the continuity of the success of the city. And you're one of those people. So we will miss you, but I'm going to say it again. I know I sound like an echo chamber, but we're really happy that you're going to stay in the reserve program, because I just want to encourage you to spend as much time as you want to as a reserve officer with the city, because it's going to be great to have you as we transition to other people in leadership that will ascend to the leadership positions that you've held. So thank you, sir. And with that, if you want to say a few words, you have the floor.
Absolutely. First of all, I want to thank the board, President James, commissioners. Many years that I have sat up at these meetings and seen a lot of people come and go. I'm very fortunate. I was given an opportunity to come over to Street Services 16, 17 years ago. Probably the best move I ever made, professionally, personally. I've made a lot of friends, contacts, been able to work with different administrations, and I've always enjoyed providing service to the city of LA. Couldn't have done it without the help of Gary Harris and a lot of the people that work with me. Gary and I have done our best. Hopefully we've made an impact with this division. I know that it will continue becoming a professional organization, and I still want to be part of that. I will be back. I will do some reserve time, volunteer time, and keep going from there. I want to thank my family, friends. Couldn't have done it without them either. A lot of days away from home, but they know that it was beneficial to all of us. The city has given me the opportunity to have a great family, granddaughter, and I look forward to enjoying that. So playing some golf and doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Very well deserved, sir. So, Keith, if we could just take a brief recess, we'll come back on the agenda, but we'd like to do a group photograph as we always do. We'll be right back on the agenda. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Let's go to our approval of the meeting minutes. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from Monday, June 5th, 2017 by Commissioner Davis? Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. Agenda item number 1, Council District 6, budget contingency increase. This is Laurel Canyon Boulevard Bridge widening over the Tahunga Wash project, recommending that the board authorize $165,000 in additional contingency and approve a revised construction budget of $2,837,648.50. Kitty Sue?
Yes.
Hi, we'll start with you. I know we have a couple of speaker cards, but we'll go ahead with you and then we'll go to those.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Kitty Sue from Bureau of Engineering, the project manager for Laurel Canyon Bridge widening over Tahunga Wash project. The project scope is to widen the bridge by 19 feet on each side to accommodate additional median lane, widened sidewalk, new architectural barriers, and other improvement around the bridge. The project was awarded in June 2015 with a total construction budget of approximately $2.5 million. In July 2016, the board authorized additional $170,000 in contingency, which brings the project to the total construction project of $2.67 million. Due to the wet weather restriction imposed by other agencies, the contractor can only work in the channel during the dry season from April to October. The project is currently 65% complete and is anticipated to be complete by the end of this year. This board report is requesting the board to authorize additional $165,000 in contingency to handle the unforeseen condition, potential acceleration, to finish the work in the channel before this dry season ends, and adjustment in bid item quantities through the project completion. The additional $165,000 that we are requesting is reimbursable by Caltrans, and this concludes my reports, and I will be happy to answer any question.
So, as you just said, just so the record's clear, it is federally, it is eligible for federal reimbursement?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Any questions before we go to the speaker? We'll go to the speaker. Ms. Sue, one moment, and we'll come right back. Mr. Spindler, you put in a card that says that Pepita Pig would like to speak. Go ahead, sir.
So, why only $165 measly $100,000? We need a lot more than that. What about buying a vehicle for the crew at the Maserati dealership in Van Nuys? Well, he got an email giving a 7% discount, so you can buy a Maserati for 13% off it MSRP. It's only $64,000 plus tax, license. So please add that to the $165,000 budget. Why? Why, you ask? Because the supervisors need to drive down from fucking this building down the 101 to supervise the Laurel Canyon Boulevard Bridge widening over Tahunga Wash bullshit project. Oh, you forgot the word bullshit. Please amend the motion to reflect that after wash bullshit project. So we need this. So please authorize Maserati of Van Nuys to buy a vehicle for the lead supervisor, and then after the project's done, sell it to him for $1 like you're going to do at the condominium in the blog that I read about yesterday. Mayor Garcetti sells condos for $1. Yes. Yes, citywatch.com. So you can sell a fucking car, can't you? What about the guy that just retired? What did you give him? A pen? You didn't give him a free car? You people are such fucking cheapskates. 31 years. You work here with these bastards, and you don't even get a free car? Fuck you.
On agenda item number 1, any questions for Ms. Sue at all? Thank you, ma'am. Is there a motion by Commissioner Jacinto, seconded by Commissioner Davis on agenda item number 1, recognizing just the increase in the contingency? Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Any issue sending number 1 forthwith? We will send number 1 forthwith. Agenda item number 2, this is in Council District 5. Relinquishment of rights for a future alley in lot number 5 of track number 27502. That's 17437 Tarzana Street, westerly of Andasola Avenue. And we will start with, we have a speaker card on this, ma'am, first. Mr. Spindler, you put in a card again for Pepita Pig.
For the record, in the other room, the reason we're here bothering your graciousness is because we can't get into the fucking meeting room. The Teamsters are blocking the entrance. Stupid fucking pigs. So, now we look. Oh, by the way, Mr. Wesson advised Mr. Herman at the beginning of the meeting to sit the fuck down, yes. Oh, look, it's a Tarzana project, yes. We're giving away a free alley to a developer. Is the developer here? Congratulations, developer, on getting free city land. Yes, we like that. We're only willing to settle our entire fucking civil rights case for a couple of hundred measly thousand fucking dollars. And you guys get free alleys. Now that's worth a lot more. Millions of dollars, yes. The red of the BOE. Instruct the red. The real estate division, red, of the Bureau of Engineering, BOE. To execute respect of payment of document recording fee. Yes, an entire $25 for $1 million worth of land. Yes, it's a great deal. Now remember to donate to the councilman in CD5, Paul Corretz, better known as Peppa Pig. That's where I originated from. Looking at Paul Corretz, you see a man who looks like a pig. That's where I came up with the idea to become a puppet pig in honor of Paul Peppa Pig Corretz. Yes, fuck you.
On agenda item number 2, let me read the item into the record. Recommending that the board first execute the attached document relinquishing any and all rights to the City of Los Angeles for public alley purposes within the future alley shown on the attached Exhibit A, that's transmittal number 1, subject to the following condition: that the petitioner makes satisfactory arrangements with the real estate division of the Bureau of Engineering, that's at 1149 South Broadway on the 6th floor. The phone number's there as well, with respect to payment of the document recording fee. Secondly, request the city clerk to attest the signatures of the Public Works Commissioners. Number 3, forward a copy of the report together with the executed document to the Real Estate Division of the Bureau of Engineering. Number 4, instruct the Real Estate Division of the Bureau of Engineering to record the executed document in the Office of the County Recorder when the condition in recommendation number 1 has been complied with. And number 5, send a copy of the adopted Board of Public Works action to the petitioner. Ms. Crocker on number 2. And you might, I know that the board report references this, but you might just summarize really for the oral record the 25-year rule on these alleys if they're not put in action by the city.
There is a previous court cases, and based on that court cases, that if the city is not accepting that alley as a public alley, and it's recorded by the tract, and if the city not accepting it, and so we have to give up the right that given back to the original owner. So based on the previous court cases, that 25 years rules.
Correct, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm Thane Crocker with the Bureau of Engineering, Land Development, and GIS Division. And I'm here for item number 2 is the BOE recommendation to relinquish a future alley easement located at 17437 Tarzana Street, westerly of Andersole Avenue. The future alley easement was created by the track map 27502 and recorded in February 4th, 1964. The property was sold to third parties, and that time there was the potential for an alley to be built in that area, but the present time land use pattern has changed, and this area is covered with the mature trees and the landscape area, and we never accepted as a public alley and never been improved as an alley. And so 25 years has passed and city never accepted, and therefore Bureau of Engineering recommending the board to approve this relinquishment.
Great, thank you. Yes, at least 25 years has passed. Any questions on agenda item number 2? Commissioner Davis.
Just for basic information and education, the law is, the court decision rather, was that within 5 years, if we don't take any action on it.
25 years.
Oh, 25
25 years, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah, 25 years. And this one, 53 years has passed.
Yes, it was in 1964.
Yes,
so.
yes, as a matter of fact. Thus the action. I'll make a motion on agenda item number 2, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any issue sending number 2 forthwith? We will send number 2 forthwith. Sounds like we have something similar in agenda item number 3, this time in Council District 2. Relinquishment of rights for a future alley in lot number 3 of Moss Park Tract at 11345 Oxnard Street. That's east of Tahunga Avenue, recommending that the board first execute the attached document relinquishing any and all rights to the City of Los Angeles for public alley purposes within the future alley shown on the attached Exhibit A, that's transmittal number 1, subject to the following condition: that the petitioner makes satisfactory arrangements with the Real Estate Division of the Bureau of Engineering at 1149 South Broadway on the 6th floor with respect to payment of document recording fees. Secondly, request the city clerk to attest the signatures of the Public Works Commissioners. Number 3, forward a copy of the report together with the executed document to the Real Estate Division of the Bureau of Engineering. Number 4, instruct the Real Estate Division to record the executed document in the office of the county recorder when the condition in recommendation number 1 has been met. And number 5, send a copy of the adopted Board of Public Works action to the petitioner. Mr. Spindler, you have a card in on number 3 for Ms. Pig. I think we'll call her Pepita since you do.
State for the record, please.
Pepita Pig. Fuck you. On the record. So, it's the same bullshit as number 2. It's a duplicated bullshit motion. It should have been part of number 2. That way the lady could get up here and talk about the same exact fucking thing, same exact wording, same exact law, same exact lawsuit. So basically this city relinquished its right. No, the city's legal department forgot to file the paperwork and record it. That's why we, the taxpayers, get fucked every time in this municipal corporation. I got the letter what he did. I read it.
Did you read it?
Yes. And it's from the state bar regarding Hugo Rossiter, city attorney. It says, because of the attorney-client privilege, they cannot investigate malfeasance in the practice of law. Because who holds the privilege? The city. And the city won't waive the privilege. So crime is legalized in the city mafia family for bar card holders, yes. But if we try it on our side, if we spit on the sidewalk, we get a ticket. If we park our car 1 minute over the limit, we get a ticket. If we have a gun in our homes, legally bought 28 fucking years ago, we get prosecuted. But you people commit multiple crimes costing billions of dollars over 30 years, and the bar says it can't do shit. So, where are we? We're fucked. That's where we are fucked.
Ms. Crocker, welcome back.
This item number 3 is a recommendation to relinquish a future alley easement located at 11345 Oxnard Street, easterly of Hunger Avenue. This alley was created by a tract map, Moss Park Tract, and recorded in March 3rd, 1939, and the property was sold to third parties. And at that time, there is a potential to be built as an alley in that area. And over the years, land use pattern has changed, and currently this area is covered with the trees and the landscaping area. And this area remained as a future alley and never been improved as a public alley. 25 years has passed when it was recorded, and city never accepted as an alley, and so city can no longer accept it as an alley. Therefore, Bureau of Engineering recommending the board to approve this relinquishment.
75 years has passed. Commissioner Cento.
Thank you, President James. Thane, thank you for the report. Let me ask you a question. There are 8 other parcels adjacent to this parcel number 3 that's identified on the track map. Are we processing, will we be expecting similar actions on each one of these lots?
Yes.
Can we batch process them? Or do we have to take and record each one individually?
We're not processing it by the city, but when the applicant come in and when they request it, and we have the rules and the criteria, and if that criteria met, and we are preparing the board report and do the relinquishment. So if the applicant come in and they can apply.
So it's applicant driven, and when they trigger,
yes,
we will process their request accordingly,
yes,
if it is within our guidelines of the past 25 years.
Yes, within the criteria. So the criteria would be it has to be recorded by the tract map, and it over 25 years old, and sold to the third parties, and the city never improved as an alley. Is still, and that when that 4 criteria is met, and we are recommending the board to relinquish that.
Great, thank you for that.
Basically, we are just removing the easement, so we are giving up the city, giving up the rights, the accepting as an alley.
As we have to do, I'm guessing, Commissioner Cento, speculating, that once these properties are being prepared for sale, then they start doing the deed search and things, they find these things and they want the deed cleared up. Yeah. So that's what happens. All right, so I'll make a motion on number 3, seconded by Commissioner Cento and Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. Any issue sending number 3 forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. Thank you, ma'am. Agenda item number 4, Policy 783 Amendment, Sidewalk Repair Initiative. This is the rebate program. Recommending that the board first authorize the city engineer to increase the rebate program cap to $10,000. That's, the board report doesn't say this, or the agenda doesn't say it, but it's from $2,000 to $10,000 for both residential, that's R5 zone, and commercial industrial areas. Secondly, authorize the city engineer to increase the rebate program, although going back, I think the rebate amount was more for, well, it was, let me read through the agenda and then we'll clear it up with Arson here. Because my recollection is, because it's not written here, is that we had one amount for commercial and one amount for residential. Now we're getting $10,000 for both. Okay. Whatever that amount is, it's going to be $10,000, likely in just a minute. But authorize the city engineer to increase the rebate program cap to $10,000 for both residential and commercial. Secondly, authorize the city engineer to increase the rebate program valuation for the tree removal and replacement line item from the schedule of values from $500 to $1,000, getting closer. And third, adopt revised rules and regulations for the sidewalk rebate program effective August 1, 2017. Mr. Spindler, you have put in a card for your puppet.
A movie in 1998 perfectly describes this shit.
Oh, it says Pepita Pig. Go ahead.
It does. Shit, gonna take a bit.
What do we do? Well, it's up to you. You know, it ain't that funny. You contribute all my money. You make your contribution, then you get your solution. As long as you can pay, I'm gonna do it all your way. Yes, the money talks and the people walk. Yeah. Now let me hear you say it.
Warren Beatty, 1998. 20 years ago, and it's more true today. Fucking cheater.
Now, is that really real? The name of our game is Let's Make a Deal. Now, people got their problems, the haves and the have-nots, but the ones that make me listen pay for 30-second spots. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Yo, Bank of America, this table over here, Wells Fargo and Citibank, you're really very dear. Loan billions to Mexico and never have to fear, because taxpayers, take it in the rear. Take it in the rear. Yo, over here, we got our friends from oil. They don't give a shit how much wilderness is spoiled. They tell us that they can't.
So then, of course, it shows that this politician goes honest. So they had something called a weekend science project. That's slang for he's going to get bumped off by a hitman. It's a great movie. It's called Bullworth. And that's what this is, this sidewalk shit. Now it's $10,000 for the commercial owners. You just kind of slide that in there. You know, you're going to fix their sidewalks. So no, the insiders are going to get the money. They're going to fix their sidewalks. Everybody else ain't going to know shit. And then you're going to wind up charging all the innocent homeowners and the moms and pops to pay for the big fucking developers that you're giving this $10,000 to, which you'll raise to 20. It's a fucking scam. Come on, Joel, vote no. One fucking time.
All right, so this is a rebate program to encourage people to venture out and fix their sidewalks earlier. Just regarding the confusion I created a minute ago, the board report makes it clear. Initially, the rebate amount was $2,000 for residential and $4,000 for commercial. Correct. We're moving both to $10,000. Is that at the request of the council?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
And
with that said, go ahead, sir.
good morning. My name is Arsen Moskirchen. I'm here on behalf of the Bureau of Engineering Sidewalk Division. And so the sidewalk repair program was established back in November of 2016, and the sidewalk rebate incentive program was authorized by your board also in November of 2016. The intent of this program, as you mentioned, is to help expedite privately funded sidewalk repairs so that we can leverage the city funds to also get more sidewalks repaired at the same time. And the program itself, this rebate program, was launched in December of 2016. Since then, we've received over 1,000 applications for the rebate program. However, to date, only less than 40 have actually completed the entire process. And so this, of course, is not great results. And so we sent out a survey in March of 2017 to those that started the application process but did not complete it. And so the number one response we received back from that survey was that the rebate cap was not sufficient to cover most of the costs that they incurred to repair their sidewalks. And so since the intent is to get more people to go through the application process and complete the repairs, we'd like to increase the cap. And as you mentioned, yes, the original cap was $2,000 for residential properties and $4,000 for commercial properties. And so we'd like to raise both of those to the $10,000 cap, which is in line with our city's cap. The Los Angeles Municipal Code allows $20,000 for the city to spend on repairs in front of any parcel. And so the $10,000 cap that we are recommending is half of that cap that we have ourselves. And so the second part of this report that we're asking for authorization is to increase the tree valuation. As part of the results we also received was that the cost to remove and replace trees in order to be able to fix the sidewalks was a lot more expensive than what we were offering as part of our rebate valuation. And so our original valuation was $500 to remove a tree and then replace it. And so we're asking for authorization to increase that line item to $1,000, which is double the original rebate amount for that line item. And so we're hoping with these two increases, more people will actually complete the entire process and we'll get more sidewalks repaired. The third item that we have asking for authorization to revise the rules and regulations would basically capture both of these first two changes. And so we would reissue the rules and regulations to outline the new caps and the new tree valuation.
Certainly more of an incentive, certainly on the tree side, but it's getting closer to what the actual cost is. But thus an incentive program. The board report's helpful. The outreach that you've done, thank you. The survey is very informative. Some of it, it's amazing how when you look at these items, you really don't have any single-digit items. I mean, everything's kind of in double digits, which I think is helpful in reaching the conclusion that you all have reached, as well as the application's status and the reasons that for the roughly 953 applications that came in, as you said, the number of that made it to completion is not a great number given the interest in the applications. Thus, you go out and figure out why it happened. We have some answers, and we're trying to come up with a way to solve it. I think the 10,000 will solve part of it. It's not going to solve all of it, but rebate programs are rarely perfect. So thank you, sir. We'll start with Commissioner Rivas.
Thank you. I also appreciate the feedback, the survey, the outreach that you did, just learning what the applicants think about the program is very helpful. My question, I just want to be clear about the $10,000 rebate. It is still 50% of the cost.
Sure,
right?
thank you. That is.
So if my sidewalk costs $12,000, I would get $6,000, or I'm eligible to get $6,000 as a rebate?
That is correct. It is not exactly a 50% rebate amount, but the cost structure is based on 50% of the work. And so, except for the trees itself actually cost a little bit more than what the rebate valuation would be. And so we are increasing that to come closer to the 50% amount that it would actually cost you to remove and replace a tree. But in a lot of cases, depending on the type of tree and the location and the complexity, it may not fully cover 50% of your actual cost. However, other than the trees, the rest of the work is based on that structure, that if your cost is $20,000, then $10,000 is what our rebate valuation would be for your case.
Okay, but if it's under 20, I wouldn't be eligible to get 10, right? It's only 50, about close to 50%.
Correct. So let's say, for example, your valuation for your work was, or the actual cost for you to do your work was $12,000, then your rebate valuation would be close to $6,000. And so you wouldn't get the $10,000 cap. You would get what the valuation actually is, which is the $6,000.
Okay. Yeah, I think that can be confusing.
Okay. That's part of why we didn't want to make the new cap complicated, and so we decided to go just with straight 50% of what our cap would be. The valuation itself, for the most part, is 50% of the actual cost. Again, the only exception is the tree cost, where it can get a little bit more expensive, and so that's the one case where it's not always 50%, but we're getting closer to that 50%.
And do you expect more applicants, or how are they hearing about this change?
So that's part of why we're asking to implement this new change as of August 1st, to give us time to reach out to the applicants and to let them know. So we plan on posting it on our website, on the Safe Sidewalks LA website, as well as the My 311 website, My LA 311 website. And we're also going to be reaching out individually to applicants, depending on where they are within the process. And so if they're eligible for the new rates, we're going to be manually reaching out to them through emails and phone calls to let them know that this new rates are in effect as of August 1st. And so to help them through that process of transitioning to the new offer.
So you expect that this will incentivize them, right? They're going to get more back.
Yes, so that they will actually continue through the process and not drop off.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So it's basically 50% or up to $10,000. The up to is important.
Yes.
Yeah. Commissioner Ascento and then Commissioner Davis.
Thank you, President James. Arson, thank you for this report. It's important as we start this sidewalk repair program, Safe Sidewalks LA, which is going to be with our city for the next generation, that we take the time to do some process evaluation as we have launched it. The fix and release, or the incentive program, is important because it is a partnership with our city residents commercial and residential, who want to be able to come into compliance, and that is so important for access. So we have to realize that this is all based on the premise of increased access, which is a part of a livable and sustainable city, a safe city. And so I do appreciate that we went out and looked at the rationale and sort of the context of why people weren't participating enough. And so it's very, very clear in terms of the reasons. Rebate amount not enough, and my repairs were more expensive than I thought. I appreciate our team of Gary, of Julie, of yourself, Amber, Jason, Dr. Campos, and working together to get the metrics. So I'm fine with the increase. I think it will result in more sidewalks being repaired. The question and the issue that I have is the phasing. Commissioner Rivas mentioned she asked as of like August 1st of 2017, this will go in effect, kind of moving forward.
Correct.
For the people that have participated in this rebate to date, so they're the kind of beta test, they are not going to be able to avail of the 10,000 because they were capped at 2,000 residential and 4,000 for commercial. My question is to our city attorney, Ms. Rittenberg, in terms of the ability of our city, and I asked staff, and Jason was able to get that for me, and Dr. Campos, that we have basically the delta or the amount that we would have to paid out to make the first batch of people that went through our sidewalk repair incentive program whole, if you will, is approximately less than $100,000. My question is that does this board have discretion in order to make those first batch whole by increasing their rebate amount, Ms. Lowe?
I believe that Mr. Ted Jordan has opined on that. We've discussed it. He and I have discussed it in passing. But that's something we can research further and get back to this board. However, the answer to that question isn't necessary to move this item today. It's just something we could decide later.
I'm willing to. I'd like to put that on there because I feel the opportunity to take this first batch and bring them along too as well. I don't think that it is not listed on this. I'm fine with a later recommendation, continued, but I would like that an answer back at the board, please.
We will do that.
Okay.
Just procedurally, I see no reason to not move today's forward, but Commissioner Cinto, excellent question, excellent point, and if we can, and frankly, it will help us in the media arena, if we can find a way to make the people that stepped in early whole to the current program, because otherwise the argument can really be made that, well, wait a minute, I came in early and now I'm being penalized for it. When you look at and the legal conundrum that we're in, because I know from prior conversations with Mr. Jordan, is are we making a gift of public funds at this point to those people, which that runs us into a legal conundrum. But I do think that given the increase in the rebate, the opportunity to make people whole, and maybe there is a way procedurally that we can get the authorization to do that, given the amount that you indicated. I think Commissioner Cinto is less than 100,000. Okay, so some moving parts there that we'll have to look further into. But again, I don't think it stops this moving forward. But it's something for us to attempt to do, just frankly, out of goodwill, if possible. Commissioner Davis.
Yeah, I wanted to first respond to the issue that you just raised. I think the issue would be equal protection in terms of making sure that those individuals did have access to the same amount that we're giving citizens in Los Angeles. And since they're citizens in Los Angeles, they are entitled to the same amount that we're given. Therefore, there are measures by which we could look at their receipt and reimburse them for the supplemental that we did not pay them. So, for example, if the $2,000 was $2,000 on $10,000 and they ended up paying $8,000, we would then just give them the supplemental to that. And I'm sure the city attorney to would look at that, because if we're giving it to everybody else in Los Angeles, they're not any different. So we're not giving them a gift. We're reimbursing them on what they've already paid, and they could forward us the receipts. Hopefully, the city attorney can look at that, because I would look at the equal protection of the law in terms of them getting a lesser amount than their colleagues who also pay the same city taxes. I wanted to compliment the Bureau for, one, the survey, and two, for working with the council and coming up with a solution in terms of how we can move this forward as we look at our overall goal to begin to repair sidewalks. So I'm very happy to support it. In the survey, there were a couple of other issues of which I have concern. One is that some of them said that they could not find a contractor. Is it possible that we could share with them? Is it legal? Is it appropriate? We could share information with them on a list of individuals who would be available to provide service for those who cannot find that information.
Yes, and we do. We do have a list of contractors that we do provide as an example for constituents to use. They're not required to use only those, but we do have a set of contractors that we have listed, basically, that constituents can use.
We do have a list.
Yes.
Wonderful. The other one was the repairs were more expensive than I thought. We dealt with that. And then the ADA, we dealt with that. The rebate was not enough. We dealt with that too. I did not know I might have to pay taxes on the rebate. So what percentage of taxes do citizens have to pay on the rebate? Do you know?
I'm not sure of the exact rate that they pay, but it would basically, from my understanding, fall into their own personal tax returns, and so they would have to speak with
Counts as
their own.
income, I believe.
I believe so.
Yeah, and so it varies, Commissioner Davis.
I see. The other issue was that somehow they believe in our program that they don't have enough time to decide. What are the time requirements in our program?
So we do have deadlines for every stage of the process. However, we do allow an appeal process. And so for any reason, if they do go beyond the timelines and they do appeal and still want to go forward, it's almost an automatic acceptance of that appeal to move forward. It's just we have to set up a way for certain applications to be closed out if they do not intend to continue further. And so we set up, most of them I believe are about 30 days. And so if they do not move forward with that process within that timeline, then we put them into basically an expired category, and so they can appeal and continue to move forward. Or if we see that after a certain amount of time they do not want to continue forward, then we would be able to close their application.
So the apparatus of the due process and the appeal allows for additional time?
Yes.
For those who don't have time?
Yes, they can appeal, and we do extend the time.
The other issue is, again, I think what we hear in the survey is that there is some confusion with regard to our program and understanding it. You did mention that we will do some outreach. My hope is that the council offices will be a part of the outreach in town hall meetings and newsletters and in other ways to share also equally with their constituents how our program works. It looks like somehow in terms of some of the results that you receive from the survey that they are suggesting that not only are they not aware in terms of information, but for some reason or another, in addition to this whole burden of what was perceived as a time constraint, that somehow the program appears to be complex. So I don't know to what degree that is. We need to look at that to see how we can, one, educate and give information, and two, if we need to redesign our program in a way to make it much more simple and user-friendly in terms of how we implement it. I think that's really important.
So to answer your concern, we also have the same concern, and we're looking at both of those options. So we are doing outreach efforts. We are going to council district offices to provide training and explanation of how the program works. We have handouts that we're providing, so then they can pass those handouts out. We also have our own outreach team that goes out to farmers markets, town hall meetings, and things like that to provide handouts, flyers of step-by-step how the process works, basically a checklist of how to get through the program. So we're doing that on one end, and at the same time we are looking at how we can improve our program internally, how we can improve the process and make it easier for people to actually continue through the whole process. And so this survey was part of that second effort to figure out what is it that we can do to help people get across and finish the program. and a part of that was the cost and the caps. And so once we get through this, we're also looking at to see how procedurally we can improve the program.
Great. I think it's a great move forward.
Thank you.
Arson,
Thank
if
you.
I
Anything
could.
further, Mr. Campos?
Yeah, Arson, Dr. Campos, can you explain to the board, I think it's Commissioner Davis raised really good points in terms of the survey and the results that came from the survey, not only the confusion, the rebate or the funding, but also timing and the requirements, and then finding the experts. Those are the 5 major categories that you can lump most of the results in. Can you just explain to the board that we have actually looked at the timing issue element. I know that the Bureau of Engineering has actually reset the clock, if you will, on many of the applications, which make a vast majority of the ones that were removed from the process. Can you share with the board in terms of what the results were when we reset that clock? We did allow individuals additional time to actually go back and reactivate their application. So that was one of many solutions that we've tried. The solution before you is part of category number 2, which is the rebate and the funding. So there's about 5 different ways that we can try to figure out a solution to this complex problem. But solution number 1, which is the timing element, we have responded to that and we have reset the clock. What were the results from that effort?
Yes, we have. We've done a few where we basically just reset the clock on an overall basis for the whole category of applications in a certain stage, and we're also doing the, through the appeal process. What we find is that those that have actually appealed and would like to continue further, they do continue further because they actually have the intent to finish the program. If we do it without the appeal process, we find that a lot of people are still not going all the way through it and still basically getting stuck at that stage. Which may be tied to some of these other concerns they have. And so it's not always that they just don't have enough time to do it, but if these other factors play in where the cost isn't enough for them, we can keep resetting the clock, but if the money isn't worth it for them, they're not going to move forward. So we find that, the people that have the intent to finish and they appeal and would like an extension, when we approve that extension, they do continue through the process.
Yeah, and I think that's important to highlight simply because 23% of all those that responded back to the survey indicated that timing was an element of why they did not complete. When we provided that additional time, that didn't necessarily translate into more applications, although some did. I believe, I don't know if the percentage, but maybe 10% of those that got resetted continued the process through from cradle to grave. But when we did provide that additional time, it really was, like Arson's indicated, it really wasn't an element of time. It was all these other things that...
Well, it might have been the time and the money. They may have needed more time to get more money, so that our combination of solutions, including the money, might really net us results, because I think that was perhaps why you had such an increase of issue and concern about time.
Yes, since this is a first-time program for us, just trying out the market and seeing what recipients will respond back to that. This is the uniqueness of this program, that we can actually try this, pilot it, test it out, see how applicants will respond back to the program. So I think that Bureau of Engineering, you've done a fabulous job to get us to this point along with other collaborators, but I really enjoyed that you're testing these different solutions to find a solution to the problems.
Yes, thank you. That's a good point. This is not the end all of the improvement process. It is just a first step into improving the program, so there will be more improvements to come.
Fluidity, flexibility on parade here at the Board of Public Works today. All right, thank you, everyone. Is that a motion, Commissioner Davis?
That's a motion.
All right, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 4. Any issues sending number 4 forthwith? We'll send number 4 forthwith. Thank you, Arson. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 5, Bureaus of Engineering and Sanitation in Council District 15. Procurement of a Xylem Flight dry pit pump. Sole source. Recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to sole source the selection of Xylem Flight dry pit pump for an amount not to exceed $349,000. And secondly, authorize the city engineer to negotiate a price agreement with Xylem Water Solutions USA for the above referenced Xylem Flight dry pit pump, which will be procured by the city of Los Angeles and installed by the general contractor awarded the construction project. I understand that we have confirmation from the city attorney on the sole source justification. Before we start with Mr. Kopp, Mr. Spindler, you have put in a card for Pepita Pig. on number 5.
The Xylem Flight Dry Pig Pump. It's for pigs, even though it says pit, it's a pig pump for pit pigs. Sole source? Well, what does that mean, huh? No competitive bidding. That means they get it at the price they say it's reasonable. So you guys don't shop around. I go to Home Depot. I go to Lowe's. Did you go to Granger? www.granger.com. And they have a slogan. Granger gets shit done. And I like that slogan. It's good. I bet they could make it for you. Custom made. For way less than this. But you like the name. Xylem Flight. Look how they spell it. XYLEM-FLYGT. Well, that sounds like LGT sounds like LGBTQ. So maybe they employ people from the LGBTQ even though they're FLYGT, taken with the XYLEM. It's the money, money. Get the money, bitch. Get the money, bitch. All you got to do is buy the politicians. Motherfuckers don't do nothing right. Everybody does it on the shop, except the motherfucker has an inside link to the motherfucking stink here. Yeah, it's the money, you know, like Mr. Bullworth. So you'll approve the bullshit, but the taxpayer gets fucked.
Mr. Kopp, on agenda item number 5. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning. David Kopp, Bureau of Engineering.
Do they sell these at Home Depot?
No, unfortunately.
Yeah.
$349,000
price tag. All right. I mean, I've seen them, so kind of tough to put in the back of a pickup truck. But go ahead.
They're rather big.
Yeah,
and
they're rather
typically
large.
not off shelf. Yeah. This equipment sole sourcing request is related to a project that's in early design stages at the Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant. In particular, the effluent pumping plant facility. And in terms of the treatment plant itself, this is the end of the line, and this facility ensures that what water comes in eventually makes it out after being treated, of course. And the facility is a dry pit, so these are not submersible pumps. They're easy to maintain. They're located in a basement. They typically fire in high tide situations or in situations where you have maybe your reclamation systems are down, you have peak weather flows, maybe times of emergency. These 3 pumps make sure that all the water gets out, even if one's down for service, etc. So having 3 working at any given time is very important to make sure that the system is always running and that the plant is never in danger of flooding, so to
Called
speak.
redundancy. Go ahead.
Exactly. This facility has been running in its current configuration since the early 70s, so for over 40 years these pumps have been running. All 3 have been built by a company called Ellis-Chalmers, which is now a part company of Xylem Flight. Recently
Can you
trained
repeat
3...
that, David, just because it's helpful for sole source justification
Sure.
for the record? Go ahead.
Yeah, Ellis-Chalmers is a subsidiary of Xylem Flight. Xylem's the U.S. Representative for the company where we would engage for procuring the pump. Flight is based out of Sweden. They've been a company for over 100 years, is my understanding. So train number 3 suffered a failure some years ago, and we would like to restore that train. That's on the end of the header system, and this will return redundancy to the plant. And so, even though we are replacing a pump, this is a pump that's been running reliably for the city for over 40 years. In terms of the justification, since Ellis-Chalmers is now a part of Xylem Flight, sole sourcing from them would basically provide the same exact pump that was engineered and designed years ago. Alternatively, when reaching out to other vendors, we came to the conclusion that if we were to buy from another vendor, they would have to probably build from scratch. And so in doing so does not provide for a complete swap out during construction. So in order to meet some of the sustainability goals of the project, to maximize the use of existing infrastructure to the maximum extent possible, where you can swap in and out a pump that'll be flush with the existing piping, the existing electrical will be able to be reused, provides cost savings there into the project as a whole.
So, David, we did consider going out to the market on this, and it just didn't
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, that was our due diligence during the early stages of design. For a project of this nature, you're kind of just you're designing around the equipment itself. So the first thing you want to do is determine what kind of pump you're going to be designing for. So your engineers know, okay, I need a transformer of this voltage. I need a variable frequency drive of this capacity. And so the sole source justification is in the early stages of the project, but that's so that we can have some definitive information as we progress through the project and get this done on schedule. Also, having a identical swap provides standardization and continuity with your O&M staff, right? You have the same operations and maintenance practices and training as you would for the other two pumps that have been running for the past 40 years. So in terms of startup and construction, we can turn this over to the Bureau of Sanitation to operate much sooner otherwise, and wouldn't have to have this separate training, O&M, volumes of manuals, et cetera, for this one pump. It will be the same for all three. And as I mentioned, this provides the highest degree of continuity with the existing infrastructure, which makes the construction and the bidding a lot more financially cost-effective to the ratepayer. And we're asking for a not-to-exceed price to negotiate of $349,000, which we think will be a reasonable price for negotiating for this pump at the end of the day.
And my recollection from the briefing is that you were requested and did receive confirmation from the city attorney on the sole source justification?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Davis?
So in terms of the cost, this is the best cost of those that we explored in terms of options that might be available financially.
In terms of the entire project, this would be the best value solution to delivering a project at the best price possible, including procurement, including installation, construction, startup. At the end of the day, the life cycle cost of delivering a project with this pump would be lower than with other vendors.
Great. That's what I was going to ask you. So technologically, this is really the better match for us. You mentioned that this company had merged with another company out of the country. Did that company in the past have some relationship with us in terms of manufacturing past pumps that we've had over time, or it's just that through your exploration you determined that this was the better company to choose?
Yeah, so this is proven technology, and Flight has been a company that the city has used for pumps over the years. We have a good vendor-owner relationship with them, and so it was quite frankly rather easy to engage them on this matter to get an understanding of what this would cost. And so we have a good working relationship with these guys. Other competitors, they're a little harder to reach out. Most of the competitors are overseas, so doing QA, QC, things of that nature might be a little tougher because you have to establish a learning curve with that. You get used to that company as far as getting the inspectors out there, to certify the shop, whereas Xylem Flight is a company that we've been comfortable with in the past, and they've been reasonable in terms of providing a quality product at a good price.
So basically you're telling me that the reliability for this company is certainly much stronger than perhaps the others that we explored.
Yeah, based on our analysis, vetting through the process of looking at other vendors, we'd like to keep it as competitive as possible, of course. But in terms of this, we think this is the best solution for the project.
The other issue would be the validity in terms of how valid can we count on the product and the time in which other companies that we explored would be able to deliver, which we obviously have no history with them.
Correct.
So that then the validity there would not have been as strong as it apparently appears to be with this company for whom we've had work and done work with before.
Correct.
So that in this choice that we have made, we have an increase of both reliability and validity with regard to the choice. Is that pretty accurate?
Correct. And I'd like to emphasize the fact that this is a pump that's been built before, which means they have their engineering done. They have their design done. So when it comes to getting a pump, they don't have to work from scratch.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, they're not built to order, made to order, so to speak.
So I'll move, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Rivas.
The 349,000 is just for the pump, right?
The pump
It doesn't
itself.
include the installation. Will that be like a separate contract?
So the way it would likely be packaged, now this project is nearing the end of its pre-design phase, along with a couple other projects at the Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant. They may be combined into one package so we get a better competitive bid. But at the end of the day, if this were a separate bid or part of another, there would likely be a separate allowance item that allows the city to participate in those negotiations, and it would be broken out from the contractor's bid. And that's how that cost would be accounted for. But everything else would be part of the contractor's bid.
But this vendor, they don't do the installation then, right?
No, they would provide vendor
There's
support.
supplier.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Support to the contractor that will install?
Correct. So in the event during startup, let's say there's a hiccup or there's some issues, there's always that relationship with the operator, the owner, and the vendor to troubleshoot things. So they're always on call in case needed, after they start these pumps up. But we don't anticipate a lot of problems as far as this pump's concerned.
Because it's just a replacement, right?
Right.
You've already used that equipment, so you don't anticipate any issues.
So when we design this, we're taking into account the existing as-built infrastructure. However the bolt patterns are and the piping, everything, it's got to match what we're going to buy. So as long as we show that on our documents, we'll be in good position to get this pump swapped in pretty quickly.
Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Rivas. Anything further? Now we have your motion, Commissioner Davis. All right, seconded by Commissioner Rivas. Any objection? With that objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 5. Any issues sending number 5 forthwith? We'll send number 5 forthwith. Good job, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend. You too. Fernando, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned. Everyone have a nice weekend.